Are you hurt?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, are you okay? Is there something wrong with you?
Hey, what the hell are you doing? Be professional. Finish the job.
Do you know there are some people who suffer from disabilities called visible disabilities? The next page traveler can also do that. If visible disabilities cannot be seen from others, so it is hard to get understanding from others. Use official words to account of social anxiety disorder without intention to hurt her feeling. His speech will be good opportunities to think about such disabilities more and to get the simple way to solve this problem.
Now, we're ready for departure. Please make sure that the seatbelt is securely fastened. Let us welcome today's 8th space traveler. The 8th space traveler is Mr. Kento Tashika from Waseda University, ESA. He will deliver his speech under the title of Visible Sign for Invisible Pain. Visible sign for invisible pain. So, Mr. Tashika, please come to the stage and launch your rocket to the frontier.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, honorable judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ignorance is a sin. It was when I was an elementary school student that this phrase struck me like a stone. In Japanese class, the teacher told us to make a pair and give representation. I made a pair with a girl who will be one of the protagonists in my speech. When we stood in front of the classmates, she suddenly shut her mouth. I thought it was because she was nervous, so I got irritated and said, "Hey, it's our turn. Why are you so quiet?" However, it turned out it was because she had a disability called social anxiety disorder, which makes it difficult for people to speak in specific situations. Since I realized this fact, I have regretted scolding to her. Now, a lot of people suffer from many kinds of disorders. Among them, a large number of people are suffering from disorders that are not apparent to our eyes. These disabilities are called invisible disabilities. People with invisible disabilities look normal, but they have some problems that we cannot consider at the first sight. Like my partner, they are feeling pain mentally because their disorders cannot be understood. So today, I'd like to talk about how to face such disabled to take a step into the easier society for them to live in. When you hear invisible disability, what kind of disorders do you imagine? Since it is called invisible, many of you might think of mental disorders such as learning disability or ADHD. However, these ideas are shallow. Invisible Disabilities Association defines them as all kinds of illnesses that disturb daily lives. As the definition indicates, invisible disabilities includes not only mental illness, but also physical illness like hearing disability or other disorders. Still, some people might say, it's none of my business because there are not so many with such disabilities around me. However, according to the research by Johns Hopkins University, 1 out of 10 people have a medical condition which could be considered as an invisible disability. As it is clear in the data, your precious one will be a victim, or you can be attacked. Then, can you imagine how people with invisible disabilities suffer? In addition to the symptoms of their disorders, they are feeling pain because they cannot get understanding and support from others. As a result of this understanding, they are oppressed or abused in a lot of ways. Let me tell you the story of my friend. He has a cardiac disturbance called Shinzo Kino Shogai in Japanese. Because of the illness, he has a difficulty in standing or exercising for a long time. So, he needs to be seated in a priority seat when riding on a train. However, other passengers cannot consider him as a disabled because of the invisibleness of his disability. As a result, they get angry at him like, "Hey, why do you sit here? You're young, right?" Like this, our misunderstanding leave deep scars in their hearts and hurt them for a long time, invisibly. Of course, if the disabled can reveal the disorders by themselves, they don't have to suffer from these problems. According to a research conducted in 2010, showed that revealing disabilities leads to feeling relief and getting the social and support from others. However, reality is not that easy. They can't reveal their disorders to others. Actually, according to General Partners, only 4 out of 10 people tell about the disorders to their friends. So, why can't they tell about their disorders? Why do they have to be the victims of the ignorance? The answer is, they are afraid of the reaction of others after the confession of their disorders. They fear that they'll be discriminated or hated because of their disorders. It is not easy for them to overcome the fear and reveal the secrets. So, what can we do for them? Don't worry, you don't need a personal knowledge. What you have to do is to learn about invisible disability a little bit and show your understanding. That is, in simple words, you have to change unawareness into awareness and invisible into visible. Then, I know you still don't know what to do exactly. So today, I'm here to let you know a very simple way. Firstly, I recommend you visit and read the blogs on the website of Invisible Disabilities Associations. There, you can see diaries and reflections of daily lives of many people with invisible disabilities. The blogs mention difficulties in their daily lives and ideas of supports which would ease their life. You will understand how to support them in addition to the knowledge about the disabled by reading them. Next, how can we visualize our understanding for people around us? Today, I'd like to introduce the key holder called Transparent Ribbon. This key holder indicates that you have the knowledge of invisible disabilities. Just by having this key holder, you can easily make your understanding visible. You can buy this ribbon for 350 yen on the website. If you're interested in this, please buy one. Your visualizations will understand, make it easier for the disabled to ask for help, and also make them feel relief. Also, there is the ribbon for the disabled, which is designed separately. If they worry, that means they have some hidden disabilities. If you see a person with this ribbon, please keep in mind that they are suffering from some disabilities. This consideration must help those with invisible disabilities. Today, I gave you simple ideas. Now, it is your time to give your hands to those with invisible disabilities. So, ladies and gentlemen, why not be aware of invisible disabilities and visualize your understanding? I believe all of you here will make visible sign or invisible pain. Thank you.
Next is a question and answer period. Mr. Fosca, please.
Thank you for your inspiring speech.
Thank you.
My first question would be, you mentioned how I can show that I support those with invisible disabilities with a key holder.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an effective method? Because most of the time, my keys are in my pocket or in my bag.
And then you can have it with your bag or with your maybe most people have it with their bags. So it's okay to have that because it is around the bags.
Okay. Next, do you think that Japanese society is prejudiced against disabled people, or people with disabilities, excuse me?
I think some of the Japanese people have the prejudice toward the disabled, but through my speech, I want to emphasize more on about the prejudice toward against people with invisible disabilities, because Japanese think that the people who look normal are normal because they are invisible to us. So through my speech, I want to emphasize more the prejudice toward the invisible disabilities.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned priority seats in your speech. I actually think that priority seats reinforce the boundary between people who are able from people who have disabilities. What do you think about that? Sorry, so I feel like priority seats separate people who have some disabilities from everyone else. Do you think that's do you agree that's a bad thing, or how do you feel about that?
I'm also one of the person who thinks like the priority seat is different from the ordinary seat. But some Japanese or some people think that it's okay to sit in a priority seat, even though they don't have the disabilities. So I think that's a problem in my speech.
Okay. If I don't have the key holder with me, how can I show to people who might have invisible disabilities that I'm there to support them? Is there anything else I can do?
You don't have to show, like, if you don't have the ribbon, but if there is a person with transparent ribbon or out mark, is something like that, you have to keep in mind that they are suffering from some disabilities, and in that case, like a kind of emergency, you have to be ready for the helping these people.
I'm very sorry, but the time has expired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fosca and Mr. Tajika. Now it is judging time.